I mean, what prompted you to explore Islamic life outside of the U.S.?
Okay, yeah. Well, the thing that prompted us most was having children. So, my wife and I were very concerned about raising children in America. Very concerned because things were changing rapidly in terms of what was being learned in school and what was actually happening in terms of the moral decay in the society. I mean, we talked about earlier, my growing up, I mean, a baby child, a woman having a child out of wedlock, or a boy himself, that was unheard of.
Right.
By the 80s, I mean, man, that horse was way out of the barn. And it was happening also to Muslims, to Muslim boys and girls.
Right.
So we said, no, we don't want this. And all the other things that were coming, at them, all the LGBTQ stuff and whatever else was going on, feminism, and all these kinds of isms and things that were rapidly, taking place in the society at that time. So we said, you know what? We need to try to see what other options exist here. So, we began to explore. We looked at Sudan, and I made several trips to Morocco.
Okay.
I'd like to tell this story if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, in Morocco in particular was my light bulb moment. I don't know, maybe it was my second or third trip there. I can't remember. But I remember coming out of a masjid in one of the big souk areas in Casablanca. It was after Asa. It was just so vivid to me. And there was this winding path through the souk, right? And so coming down the souk where I saw tourists, the typical European tourists, they had cameras in their shorts and, the blonde hair. And I said almost out loud, I said, what are you doing here? But what happened at that moment was I realized for the first time in my life, I'm in the majority. People that look like me, people that believe like me. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was like, wow, I want my children to experience this kind of a psychological shift in their minds. You're getting my point?
Yeah, I get it.
I want them to experience this psychological shift. Now, something that was really kind of funny, on one of my trips on the way out of Morocco, I remember we were in the line at the airport, and unfortunately at that time there was a lot of corruption going on in terms of you had to pay people to get your bags just even put on the conveyor belt. So anyway, there was this European couple in front of me, and so the husband was complaining these corrupt people and he was making out. The lady smacked him in the back, and what she said was, she said, "Shut up. This is their country." I said, right, this is our country.
Right.
Even with its corruptness, it belongs to us.
Right.
You're getting my point?
Yeah.
And there's a sense of ownership and a pride that even if it's not where it should be, but it belongs to us.
Right.
Couldn't say that in America.
Right.
I couldn't say that in America. So that was when we said, no, we want to put our children as much as we can, as many of them as we could, in that kind of environment. Unfortunately, we weren't, by that time, most of the children that we had, were already late teenagers and getting into college. So we weren't able to get them out. But the two youngest, we got them out and we ended up in the United Arab Emirates.
So why the UAE? Why did you choose UAE?
Well, UAE pretty much chose us. I had no idea about the UAE at all. I knew nothing about it. I'd only heard about Abu Dhabi, but I didn't know it had any association with a United Arab, Emirates kind of conglomeration. Because we thought we were going to end up in Kuwait, but they were going to give my wife a visa, but they weren't going to give me a visa. We said, no, that won't work.
Right.
And so we learned about Sheikh Dr. Bilal Phillips in the UAE.
Right.
So we made contact with him. He said, listen, there are jobs here. There are jobs here for English teachers. So if you have those credentials, he said, come, there are plenty of jobs here. So we packed up our bags and that's where we went, alhamdulillah.
So you didn't secure the job first?
My wife had her job first.
Okay.
My wife had her job first.
And that was before you left the States?
Yeah, she had her job before we left the States.
All right.
Yeah. So she and the children went first. I stayed back and I continued to work and try to close things down and all of that. So it was about a year or so later before I actually made the final move myself.
Right.
I still didn't have a job. It was the tawakkul of Allah that I said, no, I gotta go. And but it wasn't long.
Right.
I was able to find work almost immediately.
How does that look? I mean, at that time, at least, a person's coming there, he doesn't have a job, he doesn't have any prospects or whatever. What did you do? You just went from school to school, or?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, alhamdulillah. there's a brother there, may Allah, bless him and reward him and preserve him. That was very helpful. He was like the hosting party, and he was like the Ansar, if you will, And so he was very, very instrumental, brother named Sheikh Tahir. He was very instrumental in helping to kind of like guide people that were coming in from the West to say, hey, look here, there, you can go here, check here. And Sheikh Bilal Phillips knew a lot of people, of course, and who go talk to this person who runs these schools, because many of the international schools where you actually end up teaching at are run by families, and so if you know somebody who knows these families, then you get in touch with these families, and that's pretty much it. So it really wasn't difficult. I didn't find it difficult. So yeah, do you pretty much knock on some doors? Yes, you find out who's hiring, and mostly everybody was hiring at that time.
Right.
And you simply say, hey, here I am. You presented your credentials, and that was it. And you went off to the races.
So, at makehijra.com, we're dedicated to helping Muslims like you make the move to the Muslim world with ease. Our latest project is the Hijrah Readiness Assessment Test, a short, insightful survey designed to help you identify your strengths and areas for improvement on your Hijrah journey. Visit hijratest.com now and start your journey towards a successful Hijrah, inshallah.